The person who actually got the Nobel Prize called me, and said, I'm accepting this in honor of you because you really deserved it. That a very nice thing to do. I didn't say then give it to me though. I think she might have. She was very nice, and I've been helping her along the way. They need a lot of help in Venezuela. It's a basic disaster. So, and you could also say it was given out for 24, and I was running for office in 24. All of the transactions that we did in terms of closing, but. There are those that say we did so much that they should have done it, but I don't take. I'm happy because I saved millions of lives.
Did you see that? Did you?
Evening comrades, evening everybody. Welcome to the Sunday live stream this Socialist Sunday on my left eye. I'm your host Lefty, a very warm welcome on this very special stream. It's the channel's second birthday. Hooray! Yeah, a special background picture. Thanks a lot for the congratulations in the chat already, Floor Snake. First in, and tonight, as Floor Snake points out, it's not your party, it's our party. It's your party, it is in our party. Everybody got that? Thanks again, Floor Snake. Ching. We've also got Doc Davis. Great to see you, Davies. Yori Gibson, great to see you as well, and Von Nakarizer. A pleasure to see you as always. So we are 2. The channel is 2 years old. Started off as a very modest little side project. I had a lot of other things going on at the time. For example, something I'm about to point out on tonight's live stream actually, as it happens. I just started off compiling a few news snippets and things together for shorts, and slowly built a few followers and stuff, and then got into videos and then eventually live streams, and here we are. So I've not been live streaming for 2 years, but the channel, in terms of its existence, recently turned 2. And that's gone by mighty fast, I have to say. Definitely. So when you think about it, that was just around the time of, the now legendary date. That date that's in every BBC article, we know the one. From October 2 years ago. Around then. So yeah, the channel's pretty much been with Palestine all the way. And now here we are. Red F jumping in the chat, great to see you. And some of you have been with the channel for a long time. Do have to give a special thanks to everybody. For coming on streams, for your gifted memberships, all this sort of thing. In fact, speaking of which, I forgot to double check I've got the right background music on here. This might be a bit, well, there isn't any at all. There we go. That is, I mean to say, what happened there. Live background music band, Herbie Ranger and the Supersonics, messing up the music on the second birthday special. Really, I'll have a word with Herbie and the guys later on. But thank you very much, members. I do appreciate you sticking with us over the 2 years, or however long it's been, whether you're a veteran or you just joined us recently or just discovered the channel tonight. You're all very welcome. Graham Turner, thank you very much for that birthday gift in the form of a super chat. Let's give that some love and appreciation. Awesome stuff, thanks again. It's been great to have you on the channel throughout the 2 years as well, Graham. Let's please big up Graham Turner and also Doc Davies as well, who's celebrating a year, 12 solid months of membership. Thank you very much to both of you. And yeah, very happy to have got to over 2 years. Coming up to 2.5, 5,500 subscribers ish. I think it's 5.2, 5.3 at the moment. Oh, sorry, I've not. That was it. I knew there was something I didn't do when we came on. That was the latest membership roster you just saw there. But a few people haven't renewed, unfortunately. We are down to 99. I mean, I'll show you the chart if you insist. Honestly, it's not a blag or anything. Like, every time it gets up to 115, it goes back to 90. Yeah, it's frustrating. But renewing your memberships, like Doc Davies has done for the last 12 months, is important in getting us towards that 250 target. As demonstrated by Graham Turner, super chats are also open. If you're watching back later on, there's super thanks. If you're watching back after the stream finishes, there's a buy me a coffee page if you want to take a look in the description of the stream or any other content. You'll find that there if you don't have the means to contribute via YouTube. Thanks again, everybody. Genuinely appreciate it. And I speak for Phil in saying that as well, because he can't speak for himself. He's some sort of silent protest. It's not a medical or mental health condition. He just refuses to speak and also refuses to tell us what the protest is about. But I guess we'll find out whenever it ends. Whatever it is. Apologies, especially anybody wearing headphones. I just knocked the microphone slightly there. Apologies. That is, if you can still hear me now. Dominic Jones, good evening, comrade. Happy Socialist Sunday. And Morbius with us. How are you doing there, Mo? How are things in your garden this week? Or allotments? Great to see you as always. And Hedy, thanks for joining us. Into the Fondue Lounge in just a moment. I do have a comedy clip lined up as well. Yeah, I think I'll show you this first. It's just a quick... We've also received something particularly special on our second birthday that I'm going to share with you now. We had a video out. It was members first but became public earlier today about Zach Polanski's appearance on QT. I hope you've checked that out. If you've not, please do so already. But it appears that Zach Polanski himself has seen it and does in fact approve. You can see here, this is from our Blue Sky account. Zach Polanski has given that the thumbs up there. where we shared it on social media. So that's a nice nod there. Thank you very much, Zach, if you're watching the live stream. Understand you're quite busy at the moment, but thanks for finding the time to check out our humble channel's little video shout out as well. You did a great job on QT against Sia Yusuf. Top guy. Good point there, Flo. Well, the bots do contribute towards views and stuff, and ironically build the algorithm with their comments. I think, yeah, earlier there was someone, one of the bots in question, jumped in, and I'm sure it was you, Flo Snake, that was replying as well. It was something to do with pronouns, wasn't it? It was, I can't remember the name of the commenter, but they said, what are his pronouns? And then, yeah, just read that back again slowly. What are his pronouns? Kind of answered their own question there. But that sort of thing, ironically, it does give us a boost on the algorithm. I don't mind biting, but, you know, where trolls are concerned, I'll bite perhaps with one response. I'll, you know, depending on how busy I am, which is very most of the time, won't get engaged in a long debate, but they do keep coming back and boosting the video. Yeah, so Zach has hit a nerve or two on the right wing, that's apparent. But don't worry, it's not my first rodeo where it comes to dealing with right wing trolls, that's for sure. So thanks again, Zach, if you are watching. Okay, let's get over for some Sunday supper in the Fondue Lounge. Here we are once again to get our fill of cheesy fondue. We're having our own party, but we're also crashing another one. All of you can leave now. Please, we insist that you have to leave now, especially Keith, Mandy and Hodge. The couple at the back can stay, I guess. And the dog, if someone wants to take it into another room and let it know that it's now in a safe space. We have to get rid of that picture immediately and replace it with a picture of Karl Marx. If that is Lisa Nandy at the back, if I suspect it might be, then she can fuck off as well. Just as you're making yourselves comfortable though, I would advise that nobody sits where Margaret Hodge is currently sat. It might be an unpleasantly warm seat for all the wrong reasons. If you know what I'm talking about, people. Any particular hum that you might notice in the air certainly has more than a connection to her. My pal Footfoot and Peasants Revolt, a very good evening to you. Thanks for joining us in the chat. We're just getting some fondue before we get on with things. It's not been a great week for Keith, or for the twat on the wall, and indeed Mandy. They're going to be coming up as well. It turns, you know, the reach of the late Jeffrey Epstein, it's going to bring down the whole world at this rate. And he's coming back to bite from the grave yet again, this time with Tony Blair. And we'll get into that story about the connections with him. Prince Andrew as well, also being brought back into this, as well as Mandy. So coming up on the stream, we'll have the comedy clip in a moment, as always. Then on our second birthday, we're going to take a nostalgic look back at an event from this weekend 2 years ago exactly, so that's just around the time of the formation of the channel, on a new feature called My Left Eye Looks Back. Then we're going to catch up with a bit of UK news, some of which I mentioned there. A couple of other bits and pieces as well, as Ed Davey, who apparently has a stalker. More about that to come. A new episode or edition, whatever you prefer to call it, of Placard Power. This is where we highlight the embarrassing efforts of right-wing, air quotes, protesters. Another classic example on tonight's Sunday live stream. I'm going to be taking a look at your party as well. Trying to balance things out here, I guess, seeing as the last video, while it did contain a couple of segments of your party's speeches, was mostly about the Greens and Polanski, so for way to balance, we'll take a bit of a closer look into Jeremy Corbyn's speech over in Liverpool as part of your party's UK tour. The latest on the ceasefire in Gaza, plus a few other bits and pieces where that's concerned. So, a ram-packed second birthday special edition of the Sunday live stream coming up. Wow, that was a mouthful. I think I've just about remembered everything, but we'll see how we get on. Okay, get your final mouthfuls of fondue, and we'll kick off with a comedy clip. Right, we'll catch up with Keith and the gang later, before we say our goodbyes. For now, though, we're going to go over to the Juice Media. Haven't had the Juice Media on for a bit. A bit of a special treat for any of our Australasian friends. This is a unofficial advertisement from the New Zealand Tourist Board, so check this out. Apologies to any Australians watching. It's their jokes, not mine.
Visit New Zealand, majestical land of beauty, exotic birds, delicacies like hot pies and ghost chips, and home to a people with a deep love of nature, and the world's sexiest accent. Suck shit, Aussies. It's also home to the epic trilogy, The Landlord of the Rings, in which a bunch of rich wankers form a government to steal from Kiwis and give themselves tax breaks on their investment properties. Starring Christopher Gollum, Saruman Peters, and his dipshit sidekick, and The Eye of Seymour, directed by the Atlas Network. Now please rise for our national anthem. Kia ora, I'm from the Government of New Zealand, the pure green haven you've been thinking of escaping to when your country is hit by fires, floods and fascism. Except now, Kiwis are escaping New Zealand. And that's because since we've taken over, we've left no corner of this country unfucked. We kicked thousands out of emergency housing, cut equity pay for nurses and teachers, cut funding for food banks, cut disability funding, cut KiwiSaver, cut public transport discounts, and cut part-time workers' sick leave. National Party. Put putting the N back in cuts. And sure, our cuts to school lunches are making kids dumber, but that's how we're ensuring a new generation of national voters, which is why Chris is personally overseeing this.
What's K18? Okay, I'm just checking to make sure.
What a cunt. Are we at least helping Kiwis to face rising poverty? Yeah, nah. But we did blow 40k to fly not 1 but 2 PMs doing jack shit about rising inequality to eat pavlova on a fucking mountain.
Problem solved.
Huge cut. But don't worry, we still have New Zealand's beautiful nature. Sure, half our rivers aren't safe to swim in, our drinking water's contaminated with nitrates, and the number of lakes that are still in good health comes to approximately fuck all. But that's a price we're willing to pay to keep our donors happy. Donate now and we'll approve your shitty project today. Visit Denniston Plateau, a biodiversity hotspot on conservation land which makes it the perfect spot for a fucking coal mine. Not even our national bird is safe. Fuck you, Kiwi. We're also approving seabed mining in Taranaki, continuing our trawling genocide on the seafloor. Fuck you, Maui dolphin. And resuming oil and gas exploration in a climate crisis. Fuck you, world. But hey, at least we still have Maori culture. Sure, we tried our best to wipe it out by taking their land and banning their language, but that's all in the past. Well, apart from how we just tried to take a shit on the Treaty of Waitangi with this bill, sadly, everyone told us to get fucked. So naturally, we're going to try to erase Māori rights again with this bill, and by removing te reo Māori words from school books, cause kore taki mātou. But don't worry, we're not racist, cause we're screwing everyone else too. When you put all this together, you can see why hundreds of Kiwis are leaving each day, mainly to fucking Australia. We're just hoping they forget to register to vote, so that they can't kick this bunch of shitlords and nazguls out at the next election. Visit New Zealand. 100% pure shitfuckery. Authorised by Tourism Australia.
The Juice Media, go and check them out. Come highly recommended for anyone who's not come across them before. Fellow YouTubers, so go and subscribe. Just a quick reminder here as well, please make sure you hit thumbs up on the stream as you join us. That goes a long way to helping give us a boost for the second birthday special. Please do give us a follow on social media as well, at MyLeftEyeUK on Blue Sky, and we're also on Twitter and Mastodon. This channel is unofficially in some way endorsed by Zach Polanski. Yeah, it's always good stuff from Juice Media, like you're saying there, my pal Foots. Quite right, it's quite correct. In fact, I'm almost certain that they were the first comedy clip on a live stream that I did. I remember specifically that song. There was a parody song of Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now, 1980s song. What's the film it's from? The dancing film. So that was definitely in the first episode, the first live stream, I should say. And perhaps the Juice Media as well. And Peasants Revolt, you haven't heard of them. Well, that's good. That's one of the great things I do enjoy about doing the channel. You get to do plugs for things that people haven't heard of. Sorry, just trying to talk while I'm... Okay. Dirty Dancing. It was the Dirty Dancing film more. Yeah, that's right. And I know that because it doesn't matter actually, because I know that quite a few of you who watched that first live stream do still watch us now. Again, genuinely, wholly appreciate that. But the very first live stream on the channel did get demonetized for using that song. It wasn't one that I put together, by the way, the comedy clip, but obviously it was a very obvious parody of that song, so it didn't get through the copyright. But, you know, it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, it was great to kick things off and build the community from there. So thanks again, everybody. It's been a great 2 years. Evening from Salford, Gunt D. Well, you're not too far away from us then. This is a Manchester-based channel. Solidarity to Salford, which is a city in its own right, I should point out, to the north of Manchester. And thenceforth into Greater Manchester. So yeah, great to see you, Gunts. Was in Salford quite recently myself, actually. Unfortunately, that's one of the areas, or some of the areas of Salford have seen the increase in the raising of flags. That's a whole other can of worms, though. I do have to get into things on the stream. So yeah, first up we're going to take a look back to 2 years ago. Very abrupt end to the music there, thanks guys. Did all drop their well, you didn't drop a piano. It's just a coincidence they all stopped playing at the same time though. Yes, my left eye looks back. So what were we up to this time 2 years ago? Well, let's take a look in this nostalgic section of the live stream. Like the intro to the new feature. So yeah, let's look back to 2 years ago, and we were at Manchester Metropolitan University, as it happens, covering. I was just doing media for this Just Stop Oil protest. So Manchester Metropolitan students very angry that certain corporations and fossil fuel companies granted access and certain levels of access to postgraduates, shall we say. I'll go into a little bit more about that just after I play this footage of what was a Just Stop Oil spraying event 2 years ago. This is my original footage. Apologies, I've not seen this for a while actually. Only realised this was 2 years ago to the day earlier on. A bit of shaky cam going on, but that's I do remember at the time having a good few coffees before things got underway, so with the anticipation as well. I was just a little bit jacked, so apologies for the shaky cam. So yeah, I've got a clip of the spraying and a few pictures to share with you. It was a weird thing actually. I found this out later, maybe later that day or the day after. Someone who I know actually spotted me just before the spraying started, and they were about to come over and say hello and ask me what was doing. And then it soon became pretty obvious, shall we say. So let's take a look. Again, apologies, bit of shaky cam at the beginning, but I was jacked to the tits.
I'm jacked.
I'm jacked to the tits!
This is how you do it, people. This is Ruby, she's a student at my Met, and a group of supporters across the road you can see coming over in just a sec. So this is on Oxford Road, for anybody who's familiar with Manchester, you'll know this area very well. That's Ruby, just a short time after the spraying, whilst everyone was waiting for the police to arrive. Just a few pictures and stuff here. But she was arrested. We did go and do police station support for her later at the station near Green Park, for anyone who knows Manchester. And that was a really brave action. That was Ruby's first action with JSO, I recall. So really good stuff. Just a picture of some other supporters there. You might, I know it's sort of silhouetted by the glorious cloudburst on the picture there. Whoever took this, I mean, that's certainly artistic. Whoever took this picture has an. I'll just check my notes. Oh, it was me, wasn't it? Yeah, but on the right, you might notice Dave Curry, a friend of mine who I interviewed recently on the channel. He's the JSO supporter and part of Youth Demand as well. Did the great speech outside Shell HQ in London. For anybody who remembers that video on the channel, you can see there. Shout out to David if you're watching. Shout out to Ruby as well. I remember that as being an awesome action. It was a pleasure to film it again. Apologies for the shaky cam. Caffeine induced.
I'm jacked.
I'm jacked to the tits!
Yeah, so might have some more nostalgia coming up next time on My Left Eye Looks Back. Yeah, I'll see if I get away with the song there. Just have to make something. You might have noticed it's a bit faster. Right. Jim Croce, yeah. Like that song. It's a nice song. From the 70s. Yeah, collaboration of classic time travel films there. Had to put that together quite quickly. I don't know, might work on it. Guitar Guy, great to see you in the chat. Peasants Revolt, thank you for the birthday congratulations. Thanks for joining us on this second anniversary of the stream. In fact, customised shout out here. This doesn't refer to you, but perhaps we'll just pick someone at random. Current Prime Minister Keir Starmer. Thanks again, Peasants Revolt. Do like the name there as well, and with the anarchist symbol and a hammer and sickle in the name as well. That's some serious. That's a serious norma. Love it. Right, people. UK news. Just open a couple of bookmarks here. Background music down. A bit overwhelming now. Lo and behold, you would be absolutely flabbergasted, surprised. My goodness. Who would have seen this coming? No, it's all just one sordid circle, isn't it? Tony Blair, it's been confirmed as... confirmed to have met with Epstein whilst he was the Prime Minister. Tisk tisk. And this was in Downing Street. And the meeting followed lobbying by Lord Peter you-know-who, Mandy. Excuse me. The memo written by a senior civil servant, Matthew Rycroft, dated on the 14th of May 2002, briefs Sir Tony about super-rich financial advisor Epstein ahead of a meeting, which was scheduled for 5 o'clock that day. The meeting was 6 years before Epstein pled guilty to soliciting prostitution from a minor in June 2008. A spokesperson for Sir Tony said, as far as he can remember, that's not the best start. Mr. Blair met with, because this is the guy who seems to remember, he thinks he saved the world rather than remembering his atrocities as an illegal invasion. But in this case, he remembers he met with him for less than 30 minutes in Downing Street and discussed US and UK politics. He never met or engaged with him subsequently. Now, if Mandy really, really wants to push and lobby for someone to get someone stood in front of the Prime Minister and it happens, they're not just going to talk about the weather or what in 2002, I don't know. Whatever they would have been discussing then. So Mandy told Tony Blair's Chief of Staff, Jonathan Powell, that Epstein was a friend of mine. They were best pals, aren't they? Best pally pals. Who ex-US President Bill Clinton hoped to introduce to the Prime Minister as well. Let's just say that Clinton's name has certainly been muttered in the same sentence as certain files recently. Kit, great to see you. Thanks for popping in and celebrating 14 months of membership as well. That's fantastic. It's been great to have you with us on the channel. Hope you're well. And thanks for that. Yeah, I hope there'll be many more as well. Free Palestine. Thanks, Kit. Great to see you as always. So yeah, current presidents, former prime ministers. This one guy, just one guy, Epstein and his sordid island full of degenerates. Unfortunately, very wealthy and powerful degenerates. And now all the skeletons are coming out of the closet. And just look at what Trump's going through to try and suppress this. Rachel Atwood, great to see you in the chat as well. The MIDI doctors, Fredo files. Badum-tsh. Peasants Revolt, can someone teach you how to fill a fire extinguisher with paints? No comment. I can't have any comments on that. Officially on my channel. And James celebrating 30 months of membership. That's fantastic. Lots of people celebrating milestones. That's the word I'm struggling to find. Milestones. Brett James, been great to have you with us as well. JK, thanks for joining us. Oh, that legendary Blair selfie. Well, that's actually a static emoji, which is one of the benefits of being a member on the channel, if anybody cared to give us a demonstration or display in the chat. So that was Matt Kennard's, was it originally? Well, shout out to Matt Kennard. He does great stuff as well with Double Down News, doesn't he? Former member of the military also. And look, another celebration coming in. This is great stuff for our second birthday special here on the stream. Hedy Lou Kill. 18 months of standard membership. Brilliant. Look at all those static emojis as well. Yeah, you can see that one in the mix there, the Tony Blair selfie. But Hedy, 18 months, that is an incredible amount of time as well. Solidarity, everybody. Rachel, it's the channel's second birthday. It was this week, so this is the official celebration stream. I was notified on YouTube dashboard, my channel dashboard, earlier in the week that we just passed our 2-year anniversary. It was a bit of a slow and quiet start, not been live streaming for 2 years. Maybe 18 months or so. So we're going into the terrible twos, yes, we're going to get extremely rebellious. You ain't seen nothing yet, people. You know that we like to get out there, get our hands dirty. This channel, coming to you, your humble host here, being a fellow political and environmental activist of the non-violence description, should highlight. Yours is in a week. Well, preemptive congratulations to you, Rachel. Just back to the article. Yeah, as if you didn't have enough reasons not to like Tony Blair, the warmonger, the illegal co-invader of Iraq, the man who sold the 45 minutes WMD lie. And let's not forget the spurious circumstances surrounding the death of a certain Dr. David Kelly. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah. Absolute trash bag. Tony Blair. Slick Tony, apparently they used to call him. But his popularity soon took a turn as he dragged the reputation of our country further into the mire. What would that be? Pretty much 23 years ago. 22 years ago, I should say. Rest in peace, the people's poets, yes. And punks and skins and rafters will all join hands and cry in sorrow for their fallen leader. And some other intelligent people would say, is it actually possible to kill yourself with laxative pills? Oh. And yeah, he drummed up a lot of Islamophobia as well, Tony Blair. Really did. Let's not forget the 2 million lives lost in Iraq. There's also Afghanistan. And though, you know, and there is still Al-Qaeda out there. They try to claim all the glory of, you know, finishing the job and all this and that. And the sheriff and his deputy came and rounded up all the bad guys. But that's not what happened. It just created the removal of Saddam Hussein, specifically, that is, mass destabilisation in the region. Not that he was any particular saint, but he did do a lot against suppressing these extremist groups. Your Al-Qaedas, your ISISes, etc. Lest we forget that such organisations are the creation of the Central Intelligence Agency in the first place. You couldn't script it, people. It's like a Mission Impossible plot on crack. And so also, whilst mentioning Jeffrey Epstein, you'd be hard put not to instantly be reminded about the Prince Andrew scandal. But it's scandals, pluralised. Now this thing just won't go away. It all started, of course, whilst the late Queen Elizabeth II was still on the throne, but now succeeded by King Charles and the Third, King Charles III, and now it's on his desk, and it won't go away. And more things keep coming up. That is Andrew's partner from they're divorced now, aren't they? That was a long time ago. Sarah Ferguson, current or former Duchess of Kent, York, Duchess of York. Fucking hell. What a pantomime. Yep, she's been dragged into it, dropped by charities because of associations. Now, it's pretty hard to go around when you're supposedly supporting certain charities with all of this that's going on. So there you go, the email scandal. Another batch of emails from that same time have also emerged, suggesting that Andrew's connections with Epstein had carried on for months later than he claimed. Yeah, it's like with Mandy, isn't it? There's going to be more to come out about Mandy. And I think both Mandy and Andy, Pandy, Randy, Andy, Pandy. God, there's a sick name rhyming scheme going on with this fucking thing as well. But they're all supportive of Epstein while he was accused, while he was on trial, and even after he'd been convicted. Mandy's supposedly said he'll stick by him all the way, or through anything, or no matter what. Words to that effect. Is the on-screen chat stuck? Thanks for the shout-out. Yeah, it's difficult to read articles, talk shite, and keep my eye on the chat at the same time. So thanks for that, Floor Snake. This is quality streaming, people. But the article asks, what are the consequences? Each scandal is followed by calls for Prince Andrew to face some kind of royal sanction. So what pressure can the king and royal family actually apply, and how can they distance themselves? So it looks like there's going to be speculation over Andrew's attendance at Christmas in Sandringham. But it's unlikely. Oh, it confirms that Prince Andrew and his ex-wife Sarah Ferguson will be invited. So he's going to get frozen out. Was it 12 million? 12 million that they paid off the victim so that it didn't go to court. And yeah, I'm innocent, but I'll just pay 12 million pounds to someone who I claim I've never met. Well, I say I will. I can't copper up that much because I'm just a leech. That'll obviously be up to Mother to come and help me out. Yeah, the pampered of the pampered. Do you remember that thing they say that he's very fussy and specific about how a collection of teddy bears that he has arranged on his bed? Yeah, things to that extent. We're talking about someone who's completely detached from reality. Sneaky Fish, thanks for joining us, and thanks for the birthday congratulations. Yeah, celebrating 2 years. Couldn't care less whether he goes to Sandringham at Christmas. Personally, I'm not into all of that. I think, you know, got better things to think about. In the monarchical sense, I am, of course, a Republican. Not in the American political sense, I should emphasise. But yeah, I'd rather just see rid of the whole rotten lot. They're a bunch of leeches, like I said. He's already lost his Royal Highness title and military patronages, and he's no longer a working royal. He doesn't have official royal duties. It also means Buckingham Palace stopped being answerable for his behaviour. There have been suggestions that the royal family should go a step further and banish Prince Andrew from public view. He's already not allowed to attend royal public events. Instead, his appearances are limited to private family events such as funerals or memorials. That arrangement seems likely to continue, not least because, as head of the Church of England, the King couldn't exactly be seen barring his brother from church services. And the Church's reputation with certain awful offences is notwithstanding, of course. Yeah, Guitar Guy, I would have liked to have seen it go to court. I would have liked to have seen him convicted. £12 million is a pretty big chunk of change, though. But this won't go away. This will not go away. Something the King has to realise. Prince Andrew, Tony Blair, Mandy, everybody, Trump especially. This story is going nowhere. In fact, the rabbit hole is only getting deeper. Let's take a quick look at just one more political story from the UK before I get on to something else. Yeah, apparently someone's been charged with stalking Lib Dem leader Ed Davey and his family now. He's got some the kind of appeal that can get you stalked, but let's see what's happening. This is strange. Yeah. I love your stunts, Ed. Keep it up. Keep up the canoeing, hang gliding, juggling things on fire while trampolining shit. Indigo Rowland, who's also charged with possession of a flick knife, is accused of turning up at the Kingston and Surbiton MP's South West London home unannounced and on numerous occasions between June and October. The 58-year-old from Surbiton appeared at Wembley Magistrates Court on the 7th of October, was remanded into custody. Sir Ed, his wife and family have a 17-year-old son called John, who has a neurological condition and learning difficulties, and a daughter, Ellie. So what's this all about? There's very little details about this, but he just keeps showing up with a flick knife. What was it? Yeah, flick knife. What, he just rings the bells? I've got this knife, Ed. Fucking hell. What's this all about? He's due to appear in court again on Tuesday at Wimbledon Magistrates. What's all that about? That's a bit of a strange one. Yeah, how boring do you have to be to stalk Ed Davey? Good point though, Specs Bean Farmer, it could just be a random adrenaline junkie. Probably turn out to be some multimillionaire's eccentric bored offspring or something like that. Well, go figure. Go figure. That's it for UK politics news for now. Just another quick something. We've got another quick episode of Placard Power.
Are you a frustrated racist who's blindingly unaware of how wealthy grifters are pitting you against migrants and British-born citizens who aren't white? Do you want to pretend that you're a concerned citizen and that every legal asylum seeker is some kind of sex predator as a thinly veiled cover for your blatant far-right views?
Then do we have the campaign for you? Placard Power. Grab a marker, grab some cardboard, attach it to a plank of wood, and bang. You're good to go. Spelling, don't worry about that.
Punctuation? Forget it. That's for woke tranny students. Here at Placard Power, we welcome the illiterate. Dictionaries? Do one. Checking on a computer or phone? No thanks.
However, the words sound in your dumb fascist head. Just write them down like that, and in no time at all, you'll be spreading your message to the masses. It's easy, it's simple. Isn't that right, Captain Placard?
You bet your bigoted arse it is. Placard Power. Join today.
Membership costs £79.99 per month. All transfers to be sent directly to Tommy Robinson, care of Benjamin Netanyahu, Tel Aviv, Israel.
Okay, so this is what we're going to take a look at. It's a social media post this time, actually, not an actual placard or poster or banner or anything. But this is obviously a tongue-in-cheek sign that someone's put up on a bus stop. If I could find a country that didn't take migrants in, I'd move there. But then apparently this guy hasn't got the joke. He's reposted it and said, well, you know, ask the question, would you? If I could find a country that didn't take migrants in, I'd move there. And what do you think of that, people? I think that's, yeah. The embarrassment continues. Just having a quick scan through the chat. I'm not sure if there was a character called Indigo in the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Floor Snake off the top of my head, unfortunately. North Carolina, is that where you're joining us from tonight, Peasants Revolt? Good to have an international audience here. I'm looking to connect to more socialist accounts in the US and Canada and South America, which is undergoing somewhat of a socialist revolution at the moment. Great stuff. Thanks for joining us, Solidarity from the UK. Just a quick stop into Placard Power. Wanted to share that one with you. Hedy, thanks a lot for the super chat. Yeah, just a few years away from a 5-year live stream podcast, whatever you'd like to call it. Thanks again for that, Hedy. Let's please big up Hedy in the chat, please, everybody. Alright, let's go through this next. This is just a good segment to sort of sit back and take in a great speech that took place this week. I've not seen it in full myself, so but I have used some excerpts from it in recent content. Jeremy Corbyn's speech in Liverpool at this Your Party get-together. They're going to be back in Liverpool next month, at the end of next month, for the first official party conference. So we're going to see what's happening. But like I said in that last video, did get off to a bit of a staggered start. Polanski's hit the ground running as Greens, the new Green Party leader. That's been reflected in membership and in the polls. But as Zara Sultana pointed out in a recent interview, there were hundreds of thousands of sign-ups for Your Party before this, the debacle of the email with the portal. But now that the air's been cleared, I think she also said, you know, everything's okay. No turmoil within the party. But the numbers are still out there. These hundreds of thousands of people are still sort of waiting to officially sign up. I know that quite a few regular viewers on the channel have signed up as well. Yes, so we'll see. But at the moment, you would have to say that Polanski's nudging ahead in terms of public opinion. but I can't see your party being too far behind for long, and if they coordinate their efforts properly, this could be a serious advance for socialism in the upcoming local elections as well as the next scheduled generals. So let's see what Corbyn had to say. Let's go through this together. Get out some snacks or whatever. This is more or less full or uninterrupted version of his speech.
Zara and myself have done an awful lot of these rallies around the country, and they're fascinating for the numbers of people that attend, for the range of ideas that are there, the thirst for something different, the thirst for something democratic, the thirst for some change. And I ask myself, what brings people together? It's a disgust that in the 5th richest country in the world, there is so much poverty, so many children living in poverty, 1 million people using food banks regularly in order to try and survive. Homeless people begging outside stations all over the country, just trying to get enough money together to pay for one night in a shelter. In this country, the 5th richest in the world, that should simply not be happening. Can't we quite simply say, homelessness will end? Will end. And then you look at a taxation system that has not happened just in the last 6 months or a year. It happened through the Tory government, it happened through the coalition government, and some of it started under New Labour as well. And that is the tax inequality that is there. You pay the highest rate of tax if you're the lowest earner. You pay the lowest rate of tax if you're the richest person in the country. Something has to change. And we don't need lecturing us about hard choices. I can see some people in this hall that would be old enough to remember the late great Joan Maynard, who was one of the Sheffield MPs. And the first day I was elected to Parliament, she sat me down, poured a cup of tea and said, "Jeremy, listen to this." "Yes, Joan, of course," because she was a bit like that. You didn't argue with Joan. She was like a left-wing version of Bessie Craddock. You didn't argue with her. And so she said, "Jeremy, when a minister gets up at the dispatch box and say there's going to be some hard choices and hard decisions made by the government, that means the working class are losing out. That's what they mean by hard decisions. The easy decisions are when they make it easy for the workers within our society." And so it's given me a sense of bravery in what is done. And when I was in Parliament not so long ago, Zara was there as well, I thought I was hearing things. When I heard the...
Yeah, not much I can do about the audio. It's very echoey in there. This was in a in a large hall, so I can't do much about the mic quality or the acoustics, unfortunately.
Secretary of State for Work and Pensions saying that there had to be savings made on the DWP budget because of the needs of the security of the country to increase defence expenditure. So they proposed to take £5 billion away from personal independence payments for people with disabilities who need those payments in order to provide themselves with a meal, go to the bathroom, simple basic things where they need support to be looked after to achieve it. They tried to take it all away. Well done, all those people with disabilities, disability action groups that campaigned against it and stopped it at that point. But, and this is a very big but, the issue has not gone away. The government is still reviewing what they call the costs of the personal independence payments budget. And the Tories, the Dems and others keep on saying the welfare budget is out of control. No, it's not. What's out of control is the growth of poverty and inequality within our society. What we need, instead of a civil service-led review into the costs of disability and the costs of disability benefits, what I would rather see is a commission made up entirely of people with disabilities and entirely representative of those organisations to examine the levels of poverty and inequality that are as a start, when we get set up only a month's time as a party, I think it would be an ideal thing if we used our supporters and members to set up such a commission, give that report, give that statement, and make those proposals, which will mean that our policy proposals are rooted in the reality of people's lives. Now, Lucy, Zara, and others have all mentioned the issues facing the National Health Service. And like everyone in this room, I'm sure, I totally support the NHS, the National Health Service, free at the point of use for everybody. It's a fundamental socialist principle, one we all stand by, and we should always stand by it. The same applies, of course, to education and other issues. But the NHS has always been in the crosshairs of the most greedy in our society. The want to either take over the running of it, take over supplies to it, take over contracts to it, or run parts of it. And the Health and Social Care Act that went through with the coalition government was there in order to atomise and send out to contract an awful lot of other services. The previous government, the new Labour government led by Blair, brought in private finance initiative to pay for the building of new hospitals, and it all sounded great. You borrow the money, you build a new hospital, and somehow or other, miraculously, it doesn't cost you anything. Except it costs you the stupidity of buying something on a credit card. And 15% of all hospital expenditure in this country goes on still paying interest on private finance initiative contracts within the NHS. Think what every hospital could do with another 15% money to be spent on patient care rather than feeding the banks and insurance companies that have made so much out of people.
Yeah, and it was Blair who initiated this butchering of the NHS, the separation of departments into separate markets. He essentially turned the departments into separate markets to be fragmentalised and, sold away individually. And that was another good example that Jeremy Corbyn gave there. 15% interest. Going into private hands, it's revolting, and this is what Wes Streeting wants to perpetuate. The NHS certainly isn't safe in Wesley's hands.
Absolutely has to go. And when the NHS is so busy buying into places in private hospitals to treat NHS patients because they want to get the waiting list down, one level people say, oh great, good, I'm getting an operation, good, glad you are. But if the NHS does not have the capacity to treat the patients it's got, and there is a private sector that does have the capacity, something tells me that in a democratic society you would simply take over that private sector and put it in the NHS. Then you look at the issues of people stuck in hospital, particularly older people, but not exclusively, who don't leave hospital because the social care package is not available. And everybody knows somebody that is either in receipt of inadequate social care or desperately worried about what will happen to them if they need social care and the costs of it. The government keeps saying it's too expensive to bring in a new social care system, and so the first thing this government did was kick the can down the road for yet another 5 years. That's 15 years of kicking the can down the road on reforming social care. Yes, it would cost to bring in a comprehensive social care system of the type that I would like, which would be comprehensive social care for all those who need it, which would be paid for, like the NHS, through general taxation, i.e. the right to access social care. Now, when I say it's very expensive, I agree. Who bears the cost at the moment? Partly local government, when they can afford it, it's usually the biggest bill for every local authority. To some extent, the NHS, but to a massive extent, it's the poorest families all over the country where somebody, nearly always a woman, has to give up work, give up job, give up career in order to care for somebody in desperate need. I say, as a community, as a nation, we should be paying for social care, not thrust the bill of it on the people that can least afford it. Campaigning point that we will want to do as a party. Now, I, like all of you, love the idea that we have free education within our society, of course. It's crucial, it's vital, it's essential in every way. But it's being eaten away at both ends of the scale. Preschool education is largely not free. Many have to pay for nurseries, many have to pay for childminding and all the other issues that go with it. Primary and secondary, yes, it's free, but increasingly secondary and university education, tertiary rather, and university education is incredibly expensive. And that's why I was very proud to put into the 2017 and 2019 Labour manifestos an end to university tuition fees and a restoration of the maintenance grant for students. Said, well, all you're doing is subsidising middle-class students going to university. I said, you obviously haven't read the manifesto or read what the proposals are. I want every student to be able to make a genuine choice whether to apply for uni, go to uni, get a degree or not, but not based on their ability to pay, not based on their ability to stand with a £70,000 or £80,000 debt when they come out of university. And it's not as if it's a gift to them. If somebody studies in university and they become a great engineer, they become a great teacher, they become a great administrator, they become a great doctor, whatever, we all benefit from an educated society. We all benefit from their education. I was on a Zoom call with a whole lot of people last week, mainly teachers.
That's better than the old education.
Talking about the stresses that teachers go through the way Ofsted operates, and talking about the stresses that school students go through, both at primary and at secondary school level. The stress of Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2 testing. Come on, guys, let's just end it and allow teacher assessments instead. We've become obsessed with league tables. Now, I love the Premier League table. I love it all the time, particularly this week. It looks fantastic for an Arsenal supporter. Sorry about that. I knew I'd lose the audience somewhere. But there you go. But if we judge all of education on the basis of league tables, judge it all on the basis of competition between schools, it's great for those students that do really well. It's really great for them. But what we're doing is dismissing the life chances and opportunities for so many 13, 14 and 15-year-olds by putting them into a stream situation, by not allowing them to go to apply to all the GCSEs they might want to. And we then lose them from the possibilities of what they could contribute to and achieve within our society. I want to see education much more teacher-led, pupil-focused, but above all, let's develop and encourage the creativity and the ability of our students, not just in maths and science, but in music, in art and fashion, in dance. So badly run at the present time. Schools often don't have the after-school clubs and facilities they used to have. And you all know that key period when teenagers come out of school, probably before the parents, guardians, the rest of the family have come home.
Yeah, just quickly cutting in there. Good evening, Ephra Wells. Thanks for joining us on the stream. This is actually, in fact, I can reveal the Politics Joe footage of the stream. itself, yeah, again, a few audio issues, not the greatest environment to be recording.
Hour and a half when we come out of school can be a great time, it can be a wonderful time, it can be a creative time. But where I represent, where many of you live or come from, you all know what the dangers are of kids getting into bad things, bad company, drugs or whatever else because of the temptations that are there. We need positive, useful things for young people to be able to do when they come out of school, not just be forgotten or thrown into only commercial opportunities. So that's why I was very keen in both our manifestos to put forward the concept of a national education service which would give democratic control over education, reinstate the power of local education authorities and take away the power of the market in the academies, the power of the market in the colleges and the power of the market to so destroy the virtues of universities by turning them to playthings of the arms trade when they should be there investigating and investigating more productive things. So much left to do. So our party, your party, is going to be for all of those things, I hope. And also, I hope we will understand that there are limits to what humans can do to this planet. We cannot go on pouring pollutants into the sky, increasing levels of CO2, destroying biodiversity without there being a price that we all have to pay. Therefore, instead of walking away from the environmental agenda, I want us
This is the Politics Joe recording of the speech, Rachel. Shout out to Politics Joe.
And we will also not threaten people's jobs in this, we will actually encourage protection of jobs in what are polluting industries while those industries convert into something more useful. When we were doing the Green New Deal agenda, Becky Long-Bailey and I did a lot of Green New Deal meetings around the country. Some of them are absolutely fascinating. You pull together a couple of hundred people from all sorts of different...
Rebecca Long-Bailey mentioned there that'll be your MP, Gunt, is that correct? Salford and Walkden, I believe.
Walks of life. Divide them up so they don't know each other, because that way they're forced to talk to each other and express their points of view rather than chatting about personal business between each other, and talk about how they could make their town, their city, cleaner, greener, more efficient, and better hope for the future. Absolutely fascinating. The ideas that are there, what the bus driver said, what the train driver said, what the street cleaners said, what the small businessmen said, and so on. Again, your party, big, local, community-based. We can be the ones, in reality, driving an environmental agenda in every town, every city, and every village in this country. We will be the creative heart of what happens within our communities. That's why we want this vast new party, yourparty.uk, to be active everywhere in the country, whatever the current political complexion of those communities and those societies. As one who's got a great deal of experience of dealing with the media in this country, and what a wonderful, wonderful media industry we have in this country, it's just sometimes they don't always look for the right story. And I'm sure it's just a lack of diligence in some way. But it always seems to be slightly surprising that every single utterance, every single movement, every single cough taken by Nigel Farage requires to be reported in real time on every one of our live television broadcasts.
Yeah, and I'm getting utterly sick of it as well. And it's the Farage says this, Farage, and they'll argue the current polls and whatnot, but in terms of current seats, there are so many more people who have about the same or more representation in Parliament who get a lot less airtime. And we know what's going on with the Murdoch press, the so-called Murdoch press. I know he's somewhat detached from Sky News, for example, of late, and he's about to hand everything over to his sons, and there's been all this thing going on with that. But still, the thing is that wherever the rhetoric of the mainstream media goes, that is where the anticipation comes of who they expect to be the next Prime Minister. And we saw it with Cameron, we saw it with Blair, when you look back historically. And we're seeing it again with Farage. You can fit Reform MPs in a car, and yet they get so much airtime and publicity. The man on your screen has only ever appeared on Question Time once. Sarah Sultana has never been on. Is it 30 odd times or 20 odd times? I've forgotten the exact number that Farage has been on. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And we know why they're doing it. It's a complete insult to our intelligence.
Wall-to-wall coverage of the negativity of Reform UK, the sheer stupidity of some of the things they say, the deep ignorance that they demonstrate towards so many communities is never ever challenged by our media. But anyone on the left, oh God, it's very different then, isn't it? Always attacking trade union leaders, always attacking politicians of the left, always attacking those on strike without ever giving the other side of the story. So, what I want to see is a more democratic media, a more accessible media, and a rise of reply in every one of our media platforms when attacks are made on individuals.
Yeah, it's no wonder we still have the least trusted media in Europe, and it's for reasons such as this. It's for the way that they went along with the anti-Semitism scam whilst Jeremy Corbyn was leader of the opposition between 2015 and 2020. That plus a whole bunch of other things. When you look at the fact that the director of the BBC donated £40,000 to the Conservative Party, the things that Jeremy Corbyn mentioned, the absolute undermining of the left of socialists and socialism. Socialism certainly is a word that you'll hardly ever hear expressed in the mainstream media. It's always, they will say, the radical left, or the left, or even go so far as to pull up the old Corbynism one, which I particularly detest, because Corbyn's politics is more or less your standard democratic socialism. There's nothing unique about it to warrant giving it the title of an ism, you know, such as Marxism, Leninism, for example. There are distinctions within those politics that separate them from the rest, but no, he's just a democratic socialist. And by saying words such as Corbynism and calling socialists Corbynites, they do anything to get around using the real terminology and real definitions. And the thing that frustrates me the most is that political editors and so on and so forth are paid a lot of money. These people are on six-figure salaries, and they can't even get the very basics of the political spectrum correct, and they certainly won't correct any inaccurate declarations that are made by guests on the shows, Laura Kussenberg, for example, or whatever political show it is. But essentially, anyone who's to the left of Gordon Brown is considered an extremist, and it just makes my piss boil, speaking perfectly frankly.
When Farage and others routinely use the most disgusting and disgraceful language against refugees and asylum seekers, and report those people demonstrating outside asylum hotels like it's a perfectly normal and reasonable thing to do, I look at it in a slightly different way. I have been to Calais on a number of occasions. I've spent a lot of time talking to people in Calais. They're poor, they're sometimes mentally confused, they're all desperate, and they're all trying to survive. I met people there that worked for the British Army in Afghanistan, and when the Taliban took over, they suddenly had no friends. Certainly not amongst the British Army that they once worked for, certainly not amongst the new government, certainly not amongst the warlords. They were just victims of global politics and a global war.
Yeah, and where are the flag-waving, help is for heroes lot when this sort of thing happens? Afghanistan being one example, but there's a litany of others where foreign armed forces have fought alongside British armed forces, not saying that the reasons that they were there in the first place are completely moral, but they did suffer alongside British soldiers, and the same people who, around this time of year as well, the Where's Your Fucking Poppy crew, will turn their backs on those who fought alongside, and because of reasons that they can't imagine their families going through, have brought themselves to our shores, and they can't imagine when they look at a family member that they'd have to look across at them in a raft, knowing that you're going to be persecuted yet again when you reach the shores of the UK. It's just unbelievable, purely based on the colour of the skin. The same people, again, around this time of year next month, we have Remembrance Sunday, etc. in the UK. They'll be the ones trying to politicise, the far right will be the ones trying to politicise that again, with the poppies and the help for heroes, etc. But they can't have it both ways.
So they went to try and find somewhere safe to live. So it's very easy to denigrate the different. It's very easy to denigrate those people that are totally up against it. But let's think of it another way. Different world, different time, different society. Any one of us could be a refugee. In 100 years' time, books will be written, novels will be written about the heroism of those that escaped from appalling human rights abuses, wars, environmental disaster, and so much else.
Yeah, and even within our lifetimes, within the next generation or so, through climate disaster and so on, we're going to see massive, massive rises in displacement, way beyond the scale of what we have at the moment. We're talking about hundreds of millions going into billions towards the end of the century. And that's just around the corner. And anyone can be a refugee. The climate crisis is my number one concern at the moment. And I'll just remind everybody that the climate crisis doesn't care about your status or where you live. It's coming for everybody, whether you like it or not. There isn't a continent or a country on the planet that won't be affected by it. So if you think that you're safe just blocking everybody out and not showing any humanity or any sympathy, then don't expect to receive any different treatment if you're in that position yourself. It's quite right.
Made their home somewhere else and made a great contribution to that society. So can't we, instead of this denigration of people trying to survive, do two things? One is treat them like human beings with humanity, and secondly, look at the causes of war. The wars we have been involved in Afghanistan, in Iraq, in Syria, in Libya, and so the list goes on and on. And it just breaks my heart, the numbers of people that lost their lives trying to cross the Mediterranean, trying to cross the English Channel, and so on. It's not right. And so we have to be brave and be prepared to speak up for humanity. It won't always make you universally popular. Sometimes doing the right thing doesn't make you popular, but in the end, it's still the right thing to do. are hoping, desperately hoping, I've just had messages from people there, desperately hoping that there's going to be some kind of ceasefire, and at least that will mean the killing will temporarily stop. But Zara is quite right what she said, that the British sale of arms to Israel, the component parts for the F-35 jets, the constant use of RAF Akrotiri and RAF Dekalia to deliver weapons to Israel, the sharing of security information with Israel, the training of Israeli forces in Britain have all contributed to the acts of genocide. I was at the International Court of Justice to hear the application from South Africa, and last week I was in South Africa to support their application and their legal actions and compare the experience of them going through apartheid with what the Palestinian people are now going through. And it was a fascinating experience and wonderful people. They've done so much in support of the people of Palestine. But the Trump plan, it ain't a plan for peace, that's for sure. It's 20 points, and I'm not totally convinced that the esteemed President of the United States read beyond point 10, actually. But, you know, he may have, his eyes may have wandered down the page to 17 or 18, who knows. What it means is, as of now, even if the preliminary part of the agreement is adhered to, Israel still controls 55% of the Gaza Strip, which is a tiny piece of land where 2 million people were trying to survive, where 60,000 known deaths have occurred and many more have occurred. We've got to go a lot further. And it's not up to Donald Trump and others to sit around in the White House and decide what the future of Palestine is. It's a bit like the Treaty of Versailles. They all sat round and drew lines on the maps and decided which European power was going to have which part of the Middle East. There were no Palestinians around the table, just like in the Congress of Berlin in 1884, which divided up Africa. There was not one African voice or presence around that table. So this is kind of 18th, 19th century colonialism that we see in operation. And Tony Blair being appointed the Viceroy of Gaza. I mean, I would imagine somewhere in the Liverpool Museum, you've got one of those Viceroy's plumed hats with feathers and so on top. Can you lend it to Tony Blair? So when he goes to Gaza, he can walk ashore and say, I'm your Viceroy, I will govern you. Come on! Do we believe in the independence of Palestine? Do we believe in their rights? Do we believe in their rights? I know it's expensive and I know it's hard work, but whatever you can, try and get to the demonstration in London on Saturday the 11th. We want to make it the biggest ever march for Palestine this country has ever seen. And I will certainly be there. And there are so many other issues of international importance that relate to so much of what we do. If we as a country spend 13 billion a year more on armaments and a new generation of nuclear weapons and a whole new security idea that we have a global reach as a relatively small country on the global stage, what's going to happen? What's going to happen to local government spending? What's going to happen to housing? What's going to happen to social services? What's going to happen to education? You know, I know. Every single one of those services will face cuts in order to spend more money on weapons and more money on going to war. Can't we have a government that's dedicated to try and bringing about peace around the world by looking at the cause of the war rather than going to war?
Yes, preach.
We as a party have been founded, and it's going to be given the seal of approval, I hope, by the people of Liverpool at the end of November when we have the founding conference here, is to end the triopoly of economic thinking, of social thinking, of global thinking by the current Labour government, by the Liberal Democrats and the Conservatives. We will be that alternative voice. We can bring unity to communities. We can make our party part and parcel of the very fabric of every community in the country. Because when you fight to win a nursery, when you fight to save a hospital, when you fight to close a road from dangerous through traffic, all those kind of things. When you fight and win, it might be a small local victory, but you feel so big and so good at the end of it. You go on to victories after victories, and that's what we're trying to do. Mobilise people to end poverty, injustice and inequality within our society. Create a society not based on misery and racism, which is what's offered by Nigel Farage, but a community based on the lived experience of all of us, the strength that we all bring together to achieve that better, cleaner, fairer, greener world, a real socialist world. We have unity of ideas, unity of action, and above all, that will create unity of hope for the people of this country. Thank you very much.
Shout out to Politics Joe for the footage there. Great speech, as always, from Jeremy Corbyn. I can see a few of you in the chat talking about the potential of splitting the left votes. Yeah, let's just talk a little bit about that. That is something that I don't want to see. I certainly share those sentiments. One way I think this can be achieved, obviously there's a great deal of popularity for both the Greens and your party respectively at the moment. So if there's only one left candidate, be it Green, your party, Independent, Trade Union, Socialist Coalition, whatever, then that's the maximum efficacy of the left vote. Practically how you implement this, there's 600 plus constituency seats out there, and obviously a lot of MPs currently hold a lot of Green and your party MPs currently hold seats, of course, so they're probably not willing to step down. I think the same obviously should go for any independent candidate. That is, if they are still independent come the time of the next election. We'll have to see. Okay, so, well, it's not too hypothetically, because we saw in that recent poll that the Greens were just 2 points behind Labour. If your party can achieve a similar projected vote share, you're talking about 30% combined, roughly. And that's not to say that vote share for either couldn't potentially increase. There's still the budget to be announced. Like I said, I think that is going to be another swing of a couple of points at least. And then post-election they've got to decide how to work together. We have to be realistic. While it's particularly unlikely that either are going to gain an outright victory in the next general election, I wouldn't rule out a hung parliament at this stage if you think the hype about reform is somewhat overstated, which I do think it could be. And I do think that Greens and your party could, over the next few years, tempt people away from reform. So in a hung parliament situation, it could in fact be the Greens and or your party who have a significant say in what happens, but it's going to be a monumental election, I think, whatever happens it should definitely be the first indication of a new 21st century politics, with the eradication of so-called legacy parties. Well, the legacy has ended as far as Labour and the Tories are concerned. What ideas do you have about how the left can best work together? There are still other grassroots parties out there as well. It's yet to be decided if they'll still stick it out by themselves or perhaps try and coalesce with a more established party, that is to say, one that currently has members in the House. Yes, Old Ben, thanks for joining us. Thanks for that in the chat as well. It is really difficult to believe that some people still do go along with the grift at this point where reform's concerned. I just look at that recent thing, you know, I've never met this person in my life. Well, here are several eyewitness accounts of people who've seen you with them, and photographic evidence as well. Someone actually commented in what was it? It was on one of the latest videos that they'd actually seen them together as well. It was one of those, where have I seen that person before? Oh yes. But yeah, how did they still fall for it? Really? I guess, you know, potentially racism means that much to them. And not just that, you look at the money as well. How can they think that somebody who banks at the same place as the king and is a stock trader is somehow man of the people? You look at how he did the grift with the EU. He certainly doesn't have public interests at heart, that's for sure. They'll find out the hard way. Genuinely hope that Reform don't win the next election. Okay, people. Gaza came up towards the end of Jeremy Corbyn's speech just there, so that's what we're going to get on to next. I'll just take a quick look at the latest on the live feed, because just a short time before I came to it was reported that there have actually been some clashes in Gaza. This is between Hamas and another affiliated, what's been described as a gang. So this isn't between the IDF and Hamas. Let's just see what's happening. Get onto the march in London as well shortly. That took place yesterday. So this concerns the hostage release, which is scheduled for tomorrow. The flight's taken off, apparently. So he's off on Air Force One himself, Starmer's just landed in Egypt for the Gaza Peace Plan Summit. Don't worry. All as Western genociders going across to decide how the country should be run. Where's Blair? He's got to be lurking around somewhere. Starmer's probably going to be on the phone to him. Pretty quick smart while he's across. Mahmoud Abbas will attend as well. That's the head of the Palestinian Authority. So here we go. At least 27 people killed in fierce clashes between Hamas security forces and armed members of the Dugmush family, which makes it sound like some sort of mafia syndicate. In one of the most violent internal confrontations since the end of major Israeli operations in the enclave, masked gunmen from Hamas exchanged fire with militants near the Jordanian hospital in southern Gaza City. Witnesses said that, according to senior official in the Hamas-run, they don't say US-backed or whatever when they talk about the IDF. Anyway, their security units surrounded an armed militia inside the city and engaged in heavy fighting to detain its members. The ministry said 8 members of the security forces were killed in what is described as an armed assault by a militia. 19 members of the Dugmush clan were killed, along with 8 Hamas fighters, since the clashes began on Saturday. Now, what is this? This obviously, sociologically speaking, this is bound to happen where there is a vacuum of power or control while this supposed transition happens and these negotiations are happening. It looks as though some sort of criminal gang are trying to interfere. I think this is why Hamas returned to the area, which was reported yesterday. So perhaps the family, as it's referred to, this could be something to do with black markets where the aid is concerned. They could be trying to stop aid getting to civilians so they can sell for a high price on the black market. That's one of the things that happens in warfare, and this is certainly devastating. It's obviously shameful that things like that can happen. Fortunately, though, still most people returning north to Gaza City and so on. These skirmishes look to be small, not prevalent, but they've just been reported. So a small skirmish resulting in about 27 deaths. It will be all, glory me from Netanyahu tomorrow when this exchange happens, but got no excuse now. If, and I have to unfortunately strongly suspect when, Israel do break the ceasefire, the trying to get the hostages returned excuse is completely out of the window now. We'll see what happens. Good point though, Rory Gibson, as well. Yeah, they've broken every single ceasefire that's happened, including in Lebanon, which I suspect will get more attention, be more of a focus from Israel now. Like I said on the last stream, this happened the last time. They didn't even get to phase 2 of the last ceasefire. 6 weeks, was it? But then as soon as the ceasefire was announced in Gaza, they turned their attention to the West Bank and to Lebanon. They just won't be satisfied. They want to, literally, they've told us, they think that they're gloating about it in some sort of, from some sort of moral high ground when they make these ludicrous presentations at the United Nations and stuff. But this Greater Israel project that essentially means the annexation of all of the neighbours. Let's remember that they're fighting on 7 fronts at the moment. And unfortunately, I think that they could just ramp up, what's happening in Lebanon. And just before I move on to a couple of other clips and things, I might as well throw this one out there. It could be a you heard it here first kind of thing. Maybe you didn't actually, because I've heard it mentioned in other circles. In the next 4 to 6 months, I think you could potentially see some sort of false flag, major false flag attack being carried out, and that would be to perpetuate the aforementioned Greater Israel project, but also, let's say for example, if said false flag attack took place in the United States of America, then you could potentially then see Donald Trump trying to invoke some sort of emergency war power or twisted distortion thereof, a misinterpretation thereof, to try and cling to power for a 3rd term, which of course constitutionally at the moment can't happen. But should that happen, and then, heaven forfend, that is used as an excuse, like we've seen in the past, to go to war to get boots on the ground in a foreign country, that might seem pretty outlandish to say, but it certainly wouldn't surprise me. In fact, certain people predicted the same for in the UK, and then we had what happened here in Manchester just a couple of weeks ago, which I don't think still can be ruled out as any kind of particular operation. Because it's a thinly veiled cloak, if it is a cloak at all. But in terms of international image, it's always been the way that Israel think that they can get away with what they are and what they have by playing the victim card. So don't rule out that we might be seeing that again soon, unfortunately, on a massive and devastating scale. Just summarising finally, of course, Zionism itself being the hijacking of a religion to try and garner sympathy, but as well as a pathetic excuse to carry out the worst atrocities known to humanity. There is one thing to be cheerful about though, people. I just quickly want to show you this. For anyone who has been keeping up with the international football recently, Norway destroyed Israel 5-0 and donated the match revenue to a Gaza relief fund. That's not my spelling mistake there. That's just... I didn't notice that. Relief, that is. R-E-L-I-E-F. But it's not the spelling that matters. A hat-trick from Manchester City's Erling Haaland, and also, comedically, 2 own goals from the Israel football side led to a 5-0 defeat. There are, of course, still huge calls for FIFA and UEFA to ban Israel domestic and international teams from the sports. That's something I wholly approve of myself. In particular, their fans and where Tel Aviv are concerned have a reputation for being somewhat disgusting. And their chants when they go to other countries as well. But it's not just that, it's the fact that obviously genociders shouldn't be represented in sport. So yeah, kick Israel out. Well done to Norway, well done to Erling Haaland. That's Erling Haaland of Manchester City with another international hat-trick there. He's on fire, figuratively speaking, of course. And there was this huge march in London yesterday. Did anybody attend that? There's a good chance that you did, because there were over 500,000 people down there in the capital. In fact, some time, at least an hour and a half after it started, the back of the march hadn't even left Embankment. The line was that long. You can see that illustrated from these pictures here. I've had to play this without the song in the background. I think it might be copyrighted, and some sped up time-lapse footage that you can see there that I played it at the beginning just to show you the huge numbers. 500,000, fantastic. That was Eye on Palestine 2 on Instagram. Don't worry, that's not a subsidiary account of ours, just a coincidence. Well done, Norway, as Ephra's saying there. Look at that picture. I'm not sure exactly where that is. That could be on or close to Embankment, actually. But wonderful. Over 500,000. Didn't even make the main page on the Beeb. I was on the site yesterday, and I thought, oh, it's bound to come up, because I could see from my social media and from on the channel's social media that there were over 500,000 people there. Not a mention. Because all it's been for the last few days, of course, has been sausages. Doc, interesting question. Well, YouTube itself has certain ways of detecting if copyrighted songs are on your content. I'm not 100% sure that the one was. It's a Palestine Gaza song. I'm not sure if it's the same one that I have used on previous clips and it's come up. After you do a stream and stuff, if something flags up, you do have the option to trim the section out or to try and erase the song. The process for which takes a bit longer, but it's something that I've had to do a few times on the channel, but it's a lot easier if you just try and avoid it in the first place. Because whilst reviews and things are going on, it does actually temporarily demonetize the video or the stream, I should say. And I'm not 100% certain, but where streams are concerned, I think you can actually lose initial revenue. That's just ad revenue. Super chats and memberships and things aren't affected. But when you're watching live, you'll know that there's just the one ad at the beginning. If you're watching back later, there are ads through the video. But thanks for the question. And yes, as Guitar Guy points out, you can give the option. Let's say somebody is using your material, you'll get a notification for that on YouTube. It's up to you if you decide to let others use your copyrighted content or not. You can let other users use snippets of your content for shorts and things like that. There's options whether you want to do that or not. You were there, Yori. Awesome stuff. I knew there was a good chance that somebody who was watching would have been there. Similar circles and whatnot, but just not mathematically, I guess. Yeah, brilliant. Were you just there by yourself? Did you go with any particular organisation or whatever? Let us know. I'm going to catch up with someone who was on the flotilla, someone who will be familiar to regular viewers as well. Ty Hickey, not actually heard directly from him since this video came out, but he does have something to say regarding his treatment and the treatment of others whilst they were illegally kidnapped and held captive by Israel following the Samud flotilla's capture by Zionist pirate twats.
Sat down in baking sun, cable ties behind her back. If you lift your head to offer any solidarity to the comrade ahead who's getting physically and mentally abused, your head is slapped back down on the ground. And I'm just sitting there going, I've tried to bring baby formula to Gaza. How could you be treating an Irish citizen like this? Like, we end up a couple of days later in a prison cell with one of our delegates. He's a 75-year-old man, the most gentle man you'd ever meet in your life, Paddy Kelly, just simply asking for his insulin. They won't give him his insulin. We're concerned that he's going to die. And so there's a borderline riot in our wing of the prison. Eventually, instead of a doctor coming along, they just bring in a SWAT team to try and restrain the protests. And I quote, the guard said, "We don't have any doctors for animals." So that's how they view us. Like, they view us as animals. That was a comment they call us terrorist animals. They spat in Thiago. He's one of the leaders of the movement. They spat in his face. And like, I just kept thinking to myself, well, two things. One, if they're doing this to people like me with the passport I have, imagine what they're doing to Palestinians when there's no repercussions for it at all and there's no diplomatic pressure on them to stop doing it at all. And secondly, how on earth does the world, again, allow this country to...
It's terrible. You know, you hear things like that and the way that they're treated as subhumans being spat at. It's purely reprehensible. It's like fucking, it's worse than playing away at Leeds.
Operate like this. Like, imagine if the Iranian regime or the Russian regime treated a 75-year-old Irish man like that. There would be widespread outrage, and rightly so. But somehow this Israeli exceptionalism, even 2 years into a genocide, still persists.
And yeah, Ty Hickey rightfully appealing as well. Where's the diplomacy here? How a country's citizens from all around the world, Ireland, many other countries from Europe, and including the UK, and nothing is being done. A fellow JSO supporter of mine, Hannah, I played the clip of her return recently. Where's the outcry from Keir Starmer? Where's Yvette Cooper in all of this? It's disgraceful. You're letting them get away with piracy, kidnapping, brutal treatment of illegal detainees. Some countries have stood up the likes of Spain, the likes of Portugal, who we heard give a very warm welcome return to their citizens, and even had public ceremonies. You know, these people are treated like heroes. Just another shout out to you there, Yori, in the chat. Fair play to you if it's difficult to get to London from where you are, but very good effort. And that was your first time at one of the demos. Okay, people, it's getting a little bit late, so just another shout out to the members on the channel, and then we will redirect our raid elsewhere. Stick around, people. Socialist Sunday isn't quite over yet, so we'll see who's about for a raid. Thanks for all the super chats in helping us celebrate our second birthday on tonight's stream as well. Thanks to everybody who's renewed memberships and gifted to others recently. Awesome show of support from all the marvellous members on the channel. Super thanks are also open if you're watching back later on, and there's a Buy Me a Coffee page in the description of this stream or any other content on the channel. Thanks again, everybody. Well, we have a smorgasbord. What a choice. We've got a choice. I think we'll stick with either No Justice or Kevin Logan. I was just trying to remember who we redirected into last, but I'm sure Helena won't mind if we give Kev a bit of a boost. It doesn't matter really, it's essentially the same stream. It just depends on who you're looking at in the cam in the corner really, because they do stream in tandem. But in terms of numbers, you tend to see Helena getting more viewers, so we'll try and balance things out and show some solidarity, level things off by streaming into Kev's channel, because he's just as awesome, by the way. Highly recommend you subscribe if you're not familiar with Kevin Logan when we get over there in just a few moments. Sorry, I was spoilt for choice there. There was the Vanguard as well that was up, and a couple of other live news channels, but I always, of course, prefer to raid into a so-called proper YouTuber instead of a news feed. Sub to both, that's the spirit, Guitar Guy, thank you very much, and also thank you for the Palestine flags and watermelons in the chat, always much appreciated. And I'll be joining you over on Kevin's stream in a moment. I'll be sticking around for a while. Give us a shout out, make sure that you've hit thumbs up on this stream, and do likewise when we get over to Kevin Logan in just a moment. But that's all from me in this space here for now. Thanks a lot for joining us on the second birthday special of the Sunday live stream here on My Left Eye. I've been your host Lefty. You've all been fantastic. I'll be catching you on The Brews at 10 next week, but for now, take care everybody. My Left Eye, I'll be seeing you soon.
Gotcha! Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?